Oh, hi, everybody! Welcome to, I was about to say another exciting episode, but I realized that this is the first episode of a new show that I'm going to be doing with my awesome friends here. So, hi, I'm Strash, he, him. You can find me on Twitter at StrashA. I'm one of the regular streamers here. And tonight, I will be entertaining you by playing the super creepy necromancer. So let's we'll go from there. Lauren, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I'm Lauren. I use she, they, and heck, yeah, it's going to be another exciting episode because we're playing a necromancer and a thief doing cool things together.
That's right.
I will, of course, be playing this thief. I am very excited to play this thief. I think it speaks to a character archetype I've not had a chance to play for maybe a decade. So it's going to be super fun. How about you, Judd?
Hey, my name is Judd, he, him, and I'm just a volunteer. I'm just here to ask a couple of questions. That's it. Nice and
Amazing.
chill. I will definitely be leaning on the chat maybe more than usual because usually the volunteer has two people. So I'll be looking for more input. So let's do this.
All right, cool. So before we start, just real quick, let me talk about two things. One, I am kind of cracking up because in Blue Coats, the lovely Lauren here got to play the kind of necromancer. I guess whispers are kind of necromancers. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think they speak to ghosts. They like bring people back from the dead. Like there's a lot of ritualistic stuff going on there. Yeah,
Yeah. So
totally.
so you so you were playing kind of a necromancy character, and in the last game we played, I got to be Bima, the master thief, in Girl Underground. So I guess in a way we're swapping our wheelhouses here. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just do a quick intro on the game. For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, this is part. So Vincent Baker released a game called The Wizard's Grimoire, and if you haven't played it, it is a lovely game. It is incredibly brilliant and well designed, and I'm shocked that more people aren't talking about it. And I think that that's partially because it messes with the GM player dynamic a lot, which I think is actually brilliant, and I highly recommend for everybody to go and check it out. You can find it on the Lumply itch page, but one of the things that they've been doing is they've been adding a number of additional games as part of the package. So if you buy the Wizard's Grimoire, you don't just get the Wizard's Grimoire, you get like 6 or 7 additional little games, and one of them happens to be the Necromancer and the Thief, which is what we're playing. They all have some similar qualities, but there are distinct differences. For example, in the Wizard's Grimoire, trying to study your spells is about, I would say, like 70% of the game. Whereas in this game, the Necromancer studies spells between sessions, so you will not actually see me practicing to get better at my necromantic arts on screen. I'm supposed to do that off screen, and then I may or may not advance in my skills before the next session. The games are really cool. And they are somewhat unusual in certain patterns, so I think that we're just going to jump in. I'm going to actually put Lauren on the spot to have her make her character first, and we'll demonstrate how character creation works. There's a little bit of a Lauren, what did you dub it? A Cosmo questionnaire.
Oh yeah, it's very much a Cosmo questionnaire. Like in this situation, would you do A or B? And then like that'll give you your like personality score or whatever, which I guess is your stats in this case.
Yeah, actually, it's 100%. All your exertions, which is what moves are called in this game, are based on some of those answers. So, Lauren, would you be so kind as to go through your questionnaire and make your thief?
Yeah, totally. And for if it helps for some context, the thief character basically comes from this violent, sort of a quite oppressive family, and has broken out of that pattern and met a super cool necromancer friend. And is full of ambition and drive to like kind of be. It's, to me, they feel kind of like a Robin Hood-esque person, where it's like steal from the rich, like let other people steal from you when you can afford it, and like that has a sort of like collective mentality. So that's sort of like their backstory, which I think informs some of the questions that go into this Cosmo questionnaire that we have. So shall I just go through and read out these
Yeah, just
questions
read the
and
question,
answers?
pick an answer. I promise I won't judge you no matter what you pick because some of my questions are. Let's just say that maybe some people would prefer to do them not in the open, but since I heart you and trust you and you're my friend, we will just do them plain out, and sometimes we'll have unprecedented answers. So take it away.
Yes, heck yeah. I will give a slight trigger warning for folks who don't want to deal with like the current political climate, because there are some questions here that pertain to like systematic injustice. So that's just fine. I just wanted to give that warning out for folks in the chat. But so question 1 is: suppose you're cornered by a work gang. Will you leap away again to at best speed, risking their blows, or will you submit to them for a moment, confident that you will have a better chance to make your escape later? If the former, tally 1 to nimble. If the latter, tally 1 to patient. I totally see this thief being like a quick-natured person who is like more oriented to like escape than sort of like submitting and be that kind of trickster type that like, oh, I'm so weak, and then like, haha, just kidding. So I'll take 1 nimble for that. Next question is: suppose that you see a trade master beating a child and you wrest the rod from their hand. Will you turn it upon its erstwhile bearer and return their beating to them, or will you throw the rod away and take care to comfort the one so beaten? If the former, tally 1 to nimble. If the latter, tally 1 to kind. Again, I just like say so much about my psyche, but I think like if Olar would have like been kind, but I feel like I'm kind of feeling more of like a nimble, like if the power kind of thing. So I'll take that for now. We'll see if that plays out in the game. Third question is: suppose you have a hungry friend and not enough food to share. Will you concoct a lie and an excuse so to eat in private, or will you share your food even though there's not enough? If the former, tally 1 to inventive. If the latter, tally 1 to kind. I gotta share food with my friends. Easy question. All right, 4. Suppose that a slight fails you while an audience is watching. Will you cover it with a brash lie and hope to turn your stumble into a riskier victory? Or will you acknowledge it with philosophical good grace and practice the more diligently not to repeat it? If the former, tally 1 to inventive. If the latter, tally 1 to patient. And I feel like a good friend of mine has really instilled in me this like talk shit roll crits mentality. So we're yeah. So I'm definitely going to be inventive on that one. Suppose the ruthless city master is abusing and extorting the performers and beggars here. Will you help where you can with money and care that you can spare, or will you plan and carry out a campaign of humiliating retaliation? If the former, tally 1 to kind. If the latter, tally 1 to patient. I feel like I have to like help out people. I think that's sort of like a priority number 1 for this character, is like taking care of your friends. I think it speaks to that sort of Robin Hood nature, and then effing up the system power structures when we're healed and ready to take them on. And last question: suppose that you intend to undertake a risky escapade for show. Will you invent secret ways to lessen the dangers, prepared handholds or hidden tools, or will you go into it boldly, trusting your life and strength and skill? If the former, tally 1 to inventive. If the latter, tally 1 to nimble. This is a tough one. I kind of like the brash nature of like the former, so I guess I'll be nimble again. Is that all? I think that's kind of it for like creating that portion of it. Would it be good to swap now into the Necromancer's questions?
Yeah, we'll do the Necromancer's questions. So just as a point of note, I didn't see the note in this game, but one of the things I truly liked about the Wizard's Grimoire, the core game, is that it encourages you that if you go through some shit, if you struggle and go through a bunch of adventures and you suspect that you as a person may have learned some lessons or come away slightly different, it's probably time to just go through your questions again, and it's okay to change your stats. There's no XP, stats don't go up, but for example, when I started out playing my wizard last time, I was a very brash forward wizard who was confident that I was going to make a name for myself, and that changed. So the wizard that I ended up, I went through my stat shifts twice, and I didn't have the same answers. Some of them stayed the same, but some of them definitely didn't. So that's a cool feature of this game, is the fact that it's not a question of just like numbers going up. It's just a question of sometimes you become a different person. Maybe today you're willing to jump into a fight, but after you get hurt, maybe you're more cautious, and that'll change your stats. So that's okay. All right, let's do the Necromancer questions real quick. So the necromancer has kind of a terrifying backstory. So let me tell you a little bit about my necromancer. I was part of an order called the Necromantic Order of Tamn. And the Tamn are apparently not good people. They, in order to teach me, I started my studies, I showed a bunch of promise, and then they bound a spirit to me that is supposed to teach me the necromantic arts. And when they did that during my second initiation, they also put a lock of blue jasper on my brain in order to be able to control me. And the spirit, however, instilled in me a process of curiosity, and I grew larger than I wanted to learn faster than they were allowing me to, and because of that, I worked with the spirit, and the spirit taught me the trick of breaking the lock of blue jasper. So I have an order of evil necromancers that are after me, and I would have been in so much trouble except for the fact that I met my friend the thief, and the two of us are fleeing from our last city, and that's kind of all that I know of the backstory before we hit these questions. So. You are yourself bold, cunning, virtuous, ambitious in measure. Answer the following questions and keep a running tally. So let's go through the questions real quick. Suppose that you must exorcise a roaring and murderous ghost, intent upon violent mayhem. Will you confront it readily, or take pause to consider your possible courses? Well, I know what would be smart, but smart people do not break locks of blue jasper, so I'm going with the first one. And if you do the first, you get one bold, so I've one bold. Suppose that your friend, the thief, departs the table at the moment when the proprietor arrives to settle the bill. Will you pay for your friend's share?
That would never happen.
Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna say. It says if you will do so readily, add 1 to virtuous. If you do so resentfully, add 1 to ambitious. I think at this point, I'm going to have to say I do it readily, because I have a feeling that the two of us are fast friends, and also, if you're traveling with a thief, this is the kind of stuff you should be expecting. And if you don't, then you're not a very smart necromancer, so I'm going to go with that 1 virtuous. Suppose that a master of the city excises a complaint against you, accusing you of deeds furtive and nefarious. Do you suppose that you are wrongly accused? I don't know. I guess if a city has, laws against necromancy, maybe it's just, but I'm gonna say, they just don't understand what that is. It's just, there's nothing evil about tinkering with dead bodies. So I'm going to say it's false. Clearly, I would not do horrible things. I may be a necromancer, but I'm a very nice necromancer for now. About reassessing those questions as time goes on. So anyway, yes, I'm going to say, do you suppose that you are wrongly accused? I think I am. I don't know. Am I wrongly? I think I'm wrongly accused. So I will take 1 more virtuous. All right. Suppose that you come upon an enemy helpless and alone. Will you strike swiftly or announce yourself and give the enemy opportunity to... No. If there's some evil wizard and I happen to come up behind him and they don't notice me, that is 1 less evil wizard in the world. Let's see here. If the former, gain 1 bold. If the latter, gain 1 virtuous. Yeah, I'm not Captain Mal. I'm not gonna face them head on. That's just foolish. That's how necromancers die. Okay. Suppose that your friend the thief calls upon you to help them settle a score against the master of the city. Oh my. Even should it go well, it will cost you an opportunity and status. Will you help your friend? Is it without stint or is it reluctantly? I mean, what are friends for, right? I gotta have my thief friends back. That's the rules. If without stint, add 1 to bold. So I'm apparently a very bold necromancer. And suppose that you have learned the hidden weakness of a potential rival. Will you exploit it now to eliminate the threat? Yep. I don't need to read the rest of the question. That's pretty sure. If the former, tally 1 to ambitious. The opposite is you gotta be cunning and use it later for leverage. Nope. We're not doing that. All right, cool. That's it for my questions. I am, as soon as I find my character sheet here, hang on 1 second. I printed everything out. That may have been a mistake. Here we go. That's 1. Okay, so first it's ambitious. I only have one ambitious. And then it's bold. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 bolts. All right. Cunning. I am not cunning at all.
It's okay. I'm not very.
It is
I'm not very patient.
it is the saddest day, and apparently I am virtuous too. All right. So let me.
Virtuous Necromancer, my goodness.
Well, Judd, necromancers are mostly misunderstood. As far as I am aware, I can convince my ghostly tutor to eat the sound of my footfalls, and I can find out necromantic things. I'm not very evil, although I am looking for blood from other people in order to study my spells, so I may become rapidly less virtuous as we move along. So we'll see. Ambitious plus bold. Alright. Alright, cool. I think I have my... So the character sheets are actually done on a half page. One half of it is the thief, the other half is the necromancer. So I'm just gonna do this and show everybody. This is roughly what your character sheet looks like. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, and I am supposed to pick a name and pronouns. Did you pick a name and pronouns, Lauren?
No.
Okay, you should pick a name and pronouns. All right.
Names are always fun.
Cool. And I'm going to go over some of the volunteer stuff.
Excellent. Go for it, Judd.
Yeah. So I think this game is really interesting. And I think when people talk about games that are good for beginning GMs or DMs or MCs, this should be on that list without a doubt. So there's supposed to be 2 people here. They're supposed to be called volunteers, and they. You're doing us a favor just by playing. You don't have to worry about winning or losing. Your goal is just to say things that you personally find honestly entertaining. Almost your only job is to get with the other volunteer and make up answers to our questions. So I'll be making stuff up, but I'm definitely going to be going to, I'm going to be looking at the chat pretty carefully. So if you folks have ideas, throw them out. We'll ask things like, we're set upon by raiders. What are they like? And you and your fellow volunteer can imagine any raiders you want. Exactly the raiders you find the most fun, and tell us about them together. If you want to ask any questions before you answer ours to make sure you've got all the details right or whatever, please do. We'll be sure that more than happy to answer them. And sometimes one of our questions will be way out weird, maybe contextless. You can always ask us clarifying questions. I love asking questions. It's my favorite. Sometimes we'll show you one of our sheets and have you choose something from it, a list. Always choose whichever option seems to be best to you at the moment. There's a bestiary on the back, and we'll go over that in a second. And in order for anything to really count, you and the other volunteer have to agree on it. Clearly, we're not going to go for too much agreement with chat because there's a bit of a delay. So I'm just going to we'll be going with it. But I just wanted you to know what was up. Any of us can end the game whenever we want for any reason or none at all. It doesn't matter how abrupt it might be. If at any point you're not enjoying yourself, don't try to stick it out. Call an end. Thank you. You're the best. It's not Earth, although it has a single yellow sun, a single white moon, and 3 stars in a row in the winter sky that everyone recognizes. It has summers and winters and forests and deserts and great various continents and unmeasured salt seas. Horses, dogs, cats, birds, cattle, lions, hyenas, camels, llamas, marsupials, mustidae, primates, and pachyderms. If you went there, you could breathe the air, but the language would be unknown to you and the food and fashions unfamiliar. Humans love to have full bellies, warm rugs, sweet and sad music, and their loved ones nearby. They hate violence, hunger, fear, cold, injustice, and their friends who have wronged them. They have worked in stone, clay, metal, cloth. You get the idea. Cities are no bigger than city-states, usually no longer live than dynasties. The greatest and the least usually eat grain from the same fields and hunt ducks in the same rivers. Standing armies are vanishing rare. Professional law enforcement is also rare. There are professionals of law, but they are usually clerks and interpreters, lawyers and arbiters. For enforcement, they depend on ad hoc assemblies, mobs under their control. There aren't any private prisons, but there are work gangs, which we've already got in the questions. A necromancer is a person who, by diligent study and brash willingness to cheat fate and nature, learns to perceive and manipulate the ghosts of the dead and to create them when necessary. Ghosts being plasmic in nature, necromancy is a form of wizardry.
Wait, I can create ghosts? That wasn't on my list of powers. I'm excited about this. Carry on.
Yes. That's it. I just wanted to kind of give an overview of what the world was like. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
Little one-page thing.
I'm only gonna. I'm not gonna flash it too much, but I'm gonna talk about it. The Necromancer comes with a grimoire, which means that it's a book that has a bunch of information that is magically sealed inside it. And one of the rules of the grimoire is that you're not supposed to read ahead. You're supposed to only read the sections that you're allowed when you open them. Now, obviously, if you want to, you can probably read it, but I have chosen not to read it so that it's more exciting and stuff will be revealed in chat. It says that if you're not sure about your willpower, you can put sticky notes to cover up all the bits that you're not supposed to read, so I'm excited about that. So I actually only know the basic spells that I start with, and I know the hints for the first 3 sections that I have the chance to unlock. So yeah, it's interesting because Judd read a thing that I was like, wait, I did not know that thing. That's cool. So yeah, I kind of dig it. All right. So the way that we play this game is that we, meaning me and Lauren, are actually going to choose from these things called spawning circumstances. We just pick something that sounds fun, and then we tell Judd, hey, this is what's up, and then we're going to do a thing. So, Lauren, do you have one that really speaks to your heart? Or because I have a good, like, let's introduce our characters and kind of get the story rolling one picked out. I cheated. I did some homework beforehand so that we can get started right away.
Well, I have one clarifying question. Do we answer our friend questions?
Oh my goodness, I am the worst. Oh. Yes, you're right. Look at Lauren. Good game mastery there. Yes. So as per the rules of character creation, which I have failed to follow, that Lauren has, thank you so much, helped me with. Problem. We are supposed to answer 2 questions together before we start play. So Lauren, would you read the first question, because I don't have it on hand and I am totally flipping through papers.
So it totally says, we should brainstorm some answers to these 2 questions that I have. And I'm assuming you have 2 as well. But my first one is, recently, one of us saved the other from a bad developing situation. Did I save you, or did you save me? And what was the situation?
How recently do we want to answer? Because I have a feeling that you saved me from some necromancers.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, I like that idea.
If it's recent, if we want to like answer it recently so that it gives us something strong to jump into and play with right away, we can do that too. How do you feel?
Yeah, I like the dynamic of like sort of fast friends, sort of maybe like trauma bonded in a sense, who trust each other, but there are some things about each other we don't know, and it'll be fun to like cross that bridge when we come to it. When, like,
so do we want to say that you saved me from that you saved me from some necromancers recently? Is that is that sound fun?
Yeah, I think that sounds super fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. I have a thing to reveal to you. Cool. So I do have a spell that allows me sometimes to take my footfalls and push them into the lands of the dead, so that people in the real world can't hear me. But perhaps, and that is the only way that I'm stealthy. Apparently, I did it. I didn't choose any of my cunning answers. Apparently, the only way that I'm stealthy otherwise is with cunning. So apparently, I'm terrible at it. Like really bad. I need to roll like 1 in 6. I have a feeling that I was just not able to escape them. They were pulling the noose shut. Their spirits were all on me, and I had no way out. And you found me with the color bleeding out of my limbs and cold settling upon them from ghostly emanations and begging for your help. And how did you get me away from these necromancers? What was the trick that you pulled?
Oh, I think like for some context, I feel like I must have been in a similar spot to you, coming from like quite a violent background, and so it was probably just some sort of very like incensed rage that someone would do this to like one of their own as I perceive it. Like, you're all necromancers, right? I think I totally like if it. So you described the situation with a noose, right?
Oh, a noose is fine. I just meant like. Oh. When I mean a noose, I mean like a noose around a quarry, like people cutting off all your exits and like tightening in on you.
Oh, that kind of like a
not a literal noose.
That's
but maybe. I mean, necromancers. I don't know.
No, I like the story. I like the idea of like if you were relying upon your footsteps in like the void to get around these spots, like maybe it was that total like secret door, like sort of side alley in the shadows, and then like you see a hand come out, and then it's like a hook, like to like pull you away, and then it's like hand over the mouth, like don't make a word kind of thing, and then we hear the footsteps of like the necromancers like passing us, and like and then, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, because my first instinct would be to thank you out loud. So the hand of the mouth is 100% good. All right,
what do
I
the
love it.
necromancers look like?
Well, we gotta have black robes. I don't know why. I think that necromancers can look like whatever they want, but I think that the Order of Tem particularly uses animal skulls as masks. And I think that some of the one person in particular that I'm terrified of has like a deer mask with like candles on the tines coming out of their forehead, like dripping. They're lit while they walk around, and like when they use necromancy, they like burn blue.
Very cool.
Nice.
I
Awesome.
see Judd taking notes. Like, I can make this terrifying later.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's great. That's all I wanted to know.
Cool. So we have a second question, Lauren. I
Yeah.
believe on questions. I'm sorry. I still haven't found the questions on my thingy. I believe they're the same for both of us. So do you just want to ask the second one and then we'll come up with an answer in a similar fashion?
Yeah, that sounds good. I found your questions. I think you're right. I think we just answer those questions together.
Okay. Excellent.
Oh no, yes, I think they're the same. Yeah,
They're the same. Yes. All right. Cool. So this is the share and share alike, but I need to find the second page. So if you can read it, that would be. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. Here it is. I said I found it, and then like I scrolled away from it. Sorry about this. Okay, there we go. Question 2. For as long as we've known each other, we've held to a philosophy of share and share alike. When one of us has food, we both eat. When one of us needs coin, we both strive. Has anything threatened to strain this for us recently? How do we resolve it?
Oh my.
It's a good question.
So let's start with the yes no. Has anything strained this recently? What do you think?
Oh, good question. I feel like this thief is quite kind. Like, I've answered questions pertaining to like, well, I wouldn't eat if like no one else could eat and stuff. So I think like, that's a really interesting question.
I was gonna ask, is it a girl? Like, what is or guy? I mean, like, I don't know. Is it a matter of the heart? Is it a matter of temptation of power? Like a jewel that could be used for both the necromantic studies and or money. I don't know. Like, what's the could something like this tempt us, or do we always work through our troubles? Like, those are. I think that's an important way to establish our relationship, right? Because Baker's question is not. It does not say you have struggled. How it says has anything tested your bonds, and I think that saying yes or no is just as important, or saying yes is just as important as saying no.
Yeah. So. Well, it's interesting too in the context of like kind of a newer friendship, because there is a kind of honeymoon phase of like, oh, we're like super great friends, like nothing could break us apart, and then yeah, like inevitably something may come up or strain our relationship. I'm trying to think about if there's a thing that this thief would have like a line on or a boundary on or something that like was non-negotiable.
And which is interesting because it's usually the necromancer that has to set the foot down on the line. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being a situation of like coming across something valuable and it having like value to you as magic, and then that could be us eating for a month or something. And does
that sound fun? I actually have one more suggestion that I want to throw at you, because of what you were saying about your thief and sort of their. What if you had a chance to help a lot of people, but the necromancer was like, "Look, it's their problem, not ours. Like in this case, let's cover our own butts and don't spend our resources to help like complete strangers."
I think that would totally be a case where the thief would be like, "What the crap are you talking about? Like, what's the point? What's the point of life if like you can't use it to like help people, then rather than like sort of see their oppression and like hurt and pain?" Yeah.
Yeah, the necromancer's like, we're not superheroes. We're just scrappy individuals in a terrible sword and sorcery world.
Which makes total sense.
Okay, so let's give this some teeth. What kind of a situation was this? Like, did we hit a town and there was disease? Is this the kind of situation where you met some young thieves that were in trouble? maybe from
Yeah,
older thieves, which reminded you of your own circumstances, or like what kind of a situation would pull on your heartstrings?
I think it would be, yeah, I think like coming from a family of like a lot of oppression and violence, I think if there were a situation where we had the means to risk ourselves to say like find a cure for some disease or like help people out or like that kind of thing, um, particularly if like the power structures that control those people could help, they just chose not to. I think that'd be something really hard to walk away from. If like the thief was like, we can go in there, we can steal their money, like we can like do this, help out people, like, or like it's like a sort of Mask of the Red Death situation, like they're just up there like having their best life and not helping anyone.
Okay. So is that what you want? Do you want to say that we robbed a mansion full of rich nobles in order to provide the funds to help out like a problem in a city? Is that the? I'm just trying to go from sort of a generic situation to a very specific one.
Yeah, you said, oh, what made you go, oh?
Oh, sorry. It took me a second because, like, the Mask of the Red Death. I was like, my touchstone for it is actually the Decameron. So I was like, oh, okay, I see. Because like, when you mentioned it, I was like, I don't know, maybe there could be a tomb, and we had to risk some ghouls or dream eaters or whatnot, and it was very scary. But like, we could retrieve a thing from the depths of it that might be able to help or alleviate or lift a curse.
Yeah, I quite like that. Because a situation where the necromancer has to put their own life at risk or their own sanity, like, or their own like sense of self at risk, would be a hard one for the thief to understand. Because like the thief comes from a place of like my body doesn't really matter. Like I'm here to help people. Like that's my job. And it's I think if you have that much drive and purpose, it's hard to understand someone who says like I'm scared and afraid and like I don't want to do that. So I could see the thief like pushing him, like, no, like you can save people. Like I believe in you, and yeah.
Oh, you are. Go ahead.
What did you steal, and do you still have it?
No, I think we had to use it up.
Yeah.
Because if we could keep it, that might be a good salient argument that would not have caused the necromancer to balk in the first place. Cool. What did you steal? Could it be, I don't know, I feel like maybe it was the skull of a wizard that we could have used to teach us how to lift a particular curse or stop a particular beast that was causing like a sleeping sickness or something. Does that sound fun?
That sounds super cool.
Judd, how you feeling about that?
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. Cool.
All right. I mean, if I don't know the spell, maybe the dead do. All right. And now every once in a while, maybe I have memories of someone that's not me. I don't know. That sounds fun.
Oh, that's really fun. I like that a lot. Because then it also speaks to like I have no idea what, like I don't understand the consequences. I don't understand like the costs.
It's magic. So, although my magic is pretty limited, I'm not very good, but I can unveil my senses and see ghosts and plasmids. So that's a thing. Cool.
So yeah. So let me get this clear. You guys ran into a community that had like a sleeping curse on it, and our thief wanted to help them, and our necromancer was kind of reticent.
Yep.
But you did. And you stole the skull of this wizard so you could learn how to lift the curse. And there are probably no consequences on that. And you stole it from some rich folks.
I like an idea of catacombs like that, the wealthy or the powerful are buried in. And the wizard was somewhere deep inside there.
Awesome.
That's super cool.
Cool.
The Perseus throwback to like the.
Oh, actually, there's a starter in here that actually says to do that, so we may do this trick again. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Yeah, this game's amazing. So yeah. All right, cool. Judd, do you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay, so the question that we were asked, Lauren, was this strained our relationship a little bit, and then it asked us how we resolved it. So. Obviously, we know the ending of the plot was that we did it, but how did we resolve the strain on our relationship?
That's super interesting. I feel like, well, how, like, what's this question I'm going to ask? When you experience like necromancy and uh, that part of your magic, is it very internal, or or there are other externalities? I think if it's like an internal experience, we need to talk about it. um,
I think it's
if we were to
both.
resolve it, yeah.
Because a lot of so I have a combination of spells. Like I think that I can unveil my senses and see, the world as a necromancer would. That feels very internal to maybe, like, if you're a wizard, you can actually see like additional sets of eyes opening on my forehead or something. But like to normal people, I maybe concentrate for a second and that's it. But there are also externalities because certain spells I have to ask this ghost that's bound to me to like devour the sound of my footsteps and stuff like that. So it's pretty clear that it's like both. Like sometimes I have to talk to a ghost and convince it to do a thing, and there are no magic, like I have no spells to compel ghosts. I have to literally just talk to them. And there are also no rolls that I can make to convince someone of something. I have to figure out what they want and then either give it to them or like convince them that it's a good bargain or something. It's kind of wild. So yeah, it's the limitations are interesting. There are internalities and externalities. It's not a simple answer. I'll put it that way.
Awesome. Oh, and my other question is like, what would it take for you to forgive me?
I think it's I think for the most part, ever since we've been friends, we've kind of like gone headlong into stuff, but we've both agreed on it. And this was the one time where you sort of like demanded on our friendship that I do the thing. And I think it's the fact that it was actually like that you don't understand that you actually upset me. Like, because for the most part, you're just like, I ditched on the bill. And the necromancer's like, yeah, thieves will thief. That's normal. But when you're like, please put your sanity and soul at risk. And I'm like, okay, I did it. And now I have some like magical scars and things are weird. Like, and I'm not comfortable about this. I think it requires you to acknowledge that sometimes the risk is real. Like it's not just like we always make it out, so who cares? It's like, wait, sometimes we don't make it out entirely. Like sometimes there are consequences. So
oh yeah, like maybe I guess that maybe was like the first kind of like job or thing that I'd done where like the consequences were like kind of longer term. Like I think it's easier to like heal from stuff generally, like scrapes and cuts and like whatever, if your body's kind of like messed up, that's okay as long as like you can kind of like make a purpose for your life. So I think I think like I could see us having a conversation about that and like finding some compromise about sometimes you can't save everyone and that's life. And like you have to preserve yourself sometimes if you want to keep helping people. And I can see us doing, I can see us doing callbacks like, no, remember the catacombs, like, and that kind of being like a not kind of like an owe you one, but like you like promised me this, and if you want us to keep being friends and stay together, like we're gonna have to like you have to actually like follow through on your word.
That's good. That's good. I love it. All right, cool. So that's our questions. They got a little more personal than I was expecting.
Yeah.
All right. So now I have to ask the most difficult question of all, which is, do you have a name and pronouns?
I do. I picked Morgan, and I'll be using she, her pronouns for Morgan.
All right. And I am going to be Garen Silverthorn, and I'm going to be using he, him pronouns for Garen. Sound good?
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds great.
All right. Someone asked, is the necromancer still suffering the consequences? I feel like I have to be. We'll figure out what that is. And maybe I still have nightmares, but not my own nightmares. Maybe somebody else's nightmares. We'll see. Because, get possessed by a ghost. Sometimes they leave ick behind. I have not found the clean off ghostly ick spell yet. So.
Like ghost be gone kind of.
Ghost be gone, yes. Apparently there are ways to purify yourself and whatnot, but I'll have to figure that out. I have not done so to date. All right, so I think now we're ready for our first spawning circumstance. Are we good?
I'm good.
All right, so I don't know how this is going to go because, again, we just kind of play until it feels right. But one of the things about spawning circumstances is we are encouraged to cut whenever it feels good. So we start playing it until it feels like either the situation is resolved or we know what's going to happen, and then we just cut, and we'll just jump to another chapter. And so, in my experience, I've seen spawning circumstances play anywhere from like 20 minutes to an hour, and it's a very nice bite-sized game because you can sit down and play with friends. You can do a couple of like cool little mini adventures and then call it. And like if one runs long, that's okay because it doesn't usually like keep rolling indefinitely. But that's sort of where we're at. So that said, Lauren, do you have a spawning circumstance you want to do, or should we do the generic one that I thought was maybe good for a starter?
That one sounded pretty good just off the cuff of it. I'm trying to find this spawning circumstance on the PDF.
Yeah. So the one that I found was us arriving in a town. It was like a nice... We're fleeing from our previous city, and we're arriving in a town, and we're just going to explore it for a bit. And it could be very short. Like, it could be... it doesn't have to, like, last forever. This is not like, okay, so we have to entertain everyone for, like, multiple hours. We could just play for, like, 5 minutes and then do another spawning circumstance. Or it could turn into something very exciting. So,
Cool.
1 second. Of course, in my brilliance, I found it, and then I forgot to mark it, so I'm just scanning through this as fast as I can, like... Aha! Tell your volunteers that you've fled your last home by boat, and that you're arriving in a new city at sunset on the riverside docks. Take the time to ask questions to set the stage, then begin play by greeting the person... Oh, wait, nope. My eyes skipped. 1 second. Take the time to ask the questions to set the stage, then begin play by looking for a place to stay the night. So, Judd, let's would you volunteer? Would you kindly tell us what is the city and what does it look like?
I'm gonna need help from you guys. Is there something in this city that, I mean, you clearly came here running, but now that you're here. Is there something in this city that you've kind of always wanted to see? That's like a big monument or a big piece of art or something beautiful?
I had a thought. It's really silly. Do you have a thought?
My thoughts are all necromantic. Please continue.
Well, for some reason, I if it's a dockside town, right? There's probably like a really huge lighthouse, or a huge like sort of lighthouse structure, whether it's like at to sea or like in the town itself. And I think it's like super tall, like white kind of stone, and then it's like a big ruby, like it looks kind of like a jewel that sort of like is there to sort of protect like the boats coming in. Like, and I think like coming in at sunset, you can kind of get that really freaky like ambient red glow like in the sky. It's not the moon nor the sun, it's just kind of like shining light upon the ocean.
It's I think the city is called Ruby. It is one of the jewel cities. There is Ruby, Diamond, and Jasper, and
cool.
And yeah, you are all coming in at sunset. The Ruby Lighthouse has not been, or the lighthouse has not been lit yet because the sun is still up, but it's just setting now, and the ship is at the dock. Is there a reason why you all chose this ship, or was it just kind of an act of desperation? Was there something about the name of it that seemed to be good luck, or
did you know the captain, dear thief?
Oh, of course I know the captain.
Speaking of which,
nice.
Are you Morgan?
Morgan, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to write it down because.
How did Morgan know the captain?
I think like I don't know what to say. Like, I slept with them, but
That's fine.
I think like I could foresee myself having done a stint on their ship when they needed some like crew on hand. I could see like if they're piratical, like a piratical captain, like that just being part of our backstory. Like maybe when we were a lot younger, we knew each other and had that kind of like Adam-like relationship where we bump into each other every now and then. I kind of like a piratical captain, actually.
Cool.
Does your piratical captain have a name?
Yeah, what's her name? Is oh god, my name's always really hard.
That's why I have a name book. I hear you.
Just pull some. You don't have to be particularly brilliant and choose the most perfect name. Pick whatever feels right.
Let's go with Kali, Kali.
Kali?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Go Underground Book of Names.
Pirate Captain Kali. I like it.
Awesome. Is the type of relationship where you can kind of jump off the ship without saying goodbye, or do you?
I'll say goodbye and like sort of drop a coin. I think like it's like a sort of like a token of appreciation. Maybe like share a swift hug and like a peck on the cheek or something, and then we'll have gone into town.
Yeah, she wishes you good luck. Awesome. Was there something necromantic that was interesting about this town?
Yes, I want to say that they had a little bit of an maybe. So apparently curses are a thing. So we're going to talk about that because that's apparently a thing. But they had a curse problem, and their dead were getting up, which is you never want that kind of issue. And apparently some wizard took care of it. But since then, all of their burials are done in this one particular section, and they've got these what are they called? Ossuaries. So like they'll bury people, which if you don't do it in coffins or in tombs made of stone, like the flesh goes away after a couple of years, and then you dig up the bones, you put them in an ossuary, and you have the plot ready for somebody else that needs it. So yes, they actually created these ossuaries, and I've read about them, but I've never actually been to Ruby before. So I've always wanted to visit the ossuaries of the gardens outside.
Nice. So cool. The ossuaries are outside the city.
Maybe on the outskirts. Like they're part of some sector that was particularly badly hit. Like it's. Oh, actually, I kind of dig this. What if what if Ruby has like some of the rich folk have like mansions and stuff, and this is in between like the city and there. That's like where the curse happened. I'm sure some noble was messing with demons. Something was bad.
Cool.
So yeah, how it goes.
Cool. So there's like a quarter where the curse really hit. So there are probably like empty houses and abandoned places and places where people squat. Is that where you want to spend the night, or do you want to go find someone legit?
Best plan ever. Hey thief, do you want to go squat in a quarter that has a potentially remnants of curses and things?
Yes, I feel like I only owe it to you. I think that probably brings us some bad memories of like this sleep curse.
No. Let's talk about this. Do we have any coin? So like, I get the feeling that if we booked it, and in particular if you left some coin with the captain, I don't know how well off are we. So my question is, are we like desperate to find an inn, or are we like desperate to keep so low profile that we're willing to sleep in the cursed quarter?
Ooh. That's a really good question.
I was going to say, I'm going to tell you something mechanical, which is that when I unveil my senses to look around necromantically, the questions that I'm allowed to ask when I look around generally produce problems even if I don't want them. So,
yes.
Which means that if we decide to sleep in the cursed quarter, there's almost a guarantee that something bad's going to happen. Which could be delightful. We can test out our powers and see how we work as a team. I actually don't have a problem. So I actually want to say this because your directives are different. My directives are to see my character into danger and maybe out of it, and try to drag my friend into danger as well. So Judd, clearly, what we need to do is keep a low profile. If we If we spend a ton of coin and we're coming in off the ships, they're going to be looking for us coming off the ship. They're probably going to be looking for us, whoever it is that's chasing us that we're running away from, is going to look in the inns. My suggestion to you, friend thief, is that we lay low. It's not going to be glamorous, but it is going to probably be problem-free, I assure you, because nobody goes to the Cursed Quarter.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's a compelling argument. I think like Morgan isn't above nor below like sleeping wherever. You got to try to kind of take your bed where you can. Sometimes people are in it, sometimes they're not. Like it's just.
Yeah. I picture Ruby kind of like Savannah, Georgia, or New Orleans.
That's very cool.
Like a lot of hanging and very warm. And yeah, I think the Cursed Quarter is filled with these old abandoned. Once they were plantation houses, and then the city kind of encroached on them, and so they just became kind of rich, the crumbling aristocracy, and then they crumbled under the curse. So yeah, you're in this abandoned house with pillars out on the porch, and hanging moss, and a abandoned family cemetery out back with lots of statuary, and all above ground, because it's on the outskirts. You get away from kind of the swampiness, but out here it's kind of swampy. So the family plots are all in kind of marble, so that the dead don't get messed with by the swamp. And yeah, do you want to look around Garen Silverthorn and make sure that this is safe?
Yeah, so this is the first time we actually get to see an exertion on screen. So let me poke our Roll20 window over here. So the way an exertion works is I am going to first exert myself magically, and this spell is very simple. I just simply have to say that I do it, and I do it, which is, again, very different from my Pestis. Hang on. Necromantic senses. Tell your volunteer that you are unveiling your necromantic senses, and then roll. No matter the result. I have to roll my magic. Interesting. Okay, one moment. Apparently I lied. Okay, so my magic's pretty good, I think. Yes, my magic is 4. So the way this game works is you just roll a single d6, and as long as I get a 4 or less, I succeed. So that's considered a hit. Boop. So I got a 5, which means I got a miss. So now I get to tell you a thing. And if I get a miss on this, apparently I did not read that section because I'm a bad necromancer. On a miss, this is exhausting and overwhelming. Don't exert yourself again without resting first, unless it is really truly desperate, and maybe not even then. All right, so this is gonna exhaust me. I open up my senses and I spread out my necromantic senses as far as they can go, and I am going to attempt to exert myself mentally. So again, I'm pretty good at mental exertion. I need a 4 or less on a d6. Let's see how this goes. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Exert yourself mentally to study and grasp a situation's nuances. Tell your volunteers that you're taking a quick second, a couple minutes, or the time to look around. So I'm taking the time to look around. That's why this is exhausting. I want to get a feel for things and figure out what's going on. So I did get a hit, and I get to ask as many questions as I want about what I can directly observe, but I can also ask questions about what my gut tells me. And Judd, I am now exhausted. So let's go over this again. I am now exhausted, and my necromantic strength, is now fraught. Right, like if I have to exert myself only in the dreadest of danger. But I have to ask a bad question, because how else are we gonna get fun situations? And my question is, so I have a couple of questions here that I can ask when I exert myself mentally. Like, am I being watched or followed? Is everything cool here, or is there something actually going on? Which is what I'm very, very strongly considering. But the one that I'm going to ask is, I wonder if X is going to happen. What does my gut tell me? And Judd, I wonder if something magical and potentially dangerous is going to happen. What does my gut tell me?
Yeah. Your gut tells you that while the curse was lifted, the dead that the curse brought out are not all put to rest, and that this house has some restless dead, or maybe one restless dead. Like it's unclear.
So what
Uh,
I can feel is kind of like some plasmid ghostly energy throughout the house. We can
yeah,
possibly expect some sort of spooky effects, things getting animated, that kind of stuff. Does that sound fair,
yeah,
Jed?
yeah.
All right. In which case, I look at the thief and I go, "Well, things might get a little exciting later on tonight, but I am too tired right now to try and check every house in the neighborhood. It seems like whatever happened here cleaned up the superficial mess above ground, but nobody actually went through and did a deep clean of the area. So things might get a little spooky, but we should be okay. Just remember, it's just a ghost. Uh, it it can be very scary, but it should not be able to like directly affect you."
Well, I've dealt with my fair share of ghosts, maybe not in the same capacity that you have, but they still haunt me to this day. And I think, well, should one of us take a watch, perhaps, or should we be fine?
Oh, that's adorable. Thanks for volunteering for First Watch.
Like,
uh,
you
so
got it.
I'm gonna take my bedroll and I'm going to settle down for the night, Jed, because clearly nothing exciting is gonna happen.
yeah,
Um,
totally. Um, cool. So where do you see? Where do you all bed down? Like, do you look for a particular room? Are you looking for? Are you just kind of in the common parlor, like by the front door? Uh,
I feel like maybe we just look for I don't have a preference particularly for a room. If you do, Lauren, yell it out. All I would want is something that has two exits so that we can't get cornered. So maybe something
Sounds good to
upstairs that
me.
has like a patio or porch side exit, and you know.
Yeah, I was thinking if it's like a cute little like top level patio that's sort of like and like the room adjoining it kind of doubles as like a cute study that looks out over like the kind of scenery with some little
nice.
like book desk and that kind of thing. That'd be kind of cute.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Um, Morgan, as Garen falls asleep, um, like, were you running from someone who was hunting for you, or were you running from someone who was hunting for Garen? Like, what?
Oh,
Who are you running from?
interesting. Is it? I have to ask about Garen. Like, are folks still on your tail? Like, if
Oh, I think
we
folks
are,
are on both our tails. We
yeah, I think they
have
both are. Yeah.
groups that love that are hunting both of us. So if you can pick either, and it's fine.
Ooh.
It's in your hands.
I like the idea of it being related to my dear necromancer friends. I think it's going to be a situation I don't know how to handle, and
Right.
it'll be fun to see how the thief handles it while Garen's asleep potentially.
So
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
ask you: uh, did the Order of Tam did they hire somebody to hunt us? I don't know if
Hmm.
or do you think that they came themselves? Because like it could be that they sent like one necromancer and a pile of coin and some like I don't know. The word that comes to my mind is like a thief catcher, but like I guess it's a necromancer catcher right now. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Kali tipped someone off. um,
Ooh.
yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Oh my.
Well, yeah, like thieves do as thieves do, and like maybe they had some leverage over her, and I'm sure we'll work it out later. It'll be fine. Like you got me this time. Like, oh god.
Okay.
Nice. Uh, cool. So it's some kind of necromantic folks, but they hired someone. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, someone local perhaps. Maybe I'm not sure, or
Okay.
someone who like perhaps maybe even took passage on Callie's ship and was kind of waiting for a good opportune moment to find us or something, or yeah.
Nice.
I would ask that they came like in maybe even the same day, but like right behind us because boats are not huge. Like we
Sure.
probably would have come across them if this journey took more than a day. So
Yeah, I like the idea of it being like, yeah, a boat just behind us that docked slightly after we did.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Did your dear friend tell you to like watch out for anything? Like, hey, if this happens, wake me up, or did they just pass out?
Uh,
I I as said, dear friend, I think I was extra tired because of my exertions. I may have forgotten such things, but I trust my the friend to know best.
yeah. Plus, like, I mean, we're always on the run. It's like kind of unspoken. Like, you don't need to tell me to watch out for folks. Folks just find us.
Right.
Reading most of these spawning circumstances, you are correct.
Cool, cool, cool. Do you is Morgan like really tidy? Like, do you spend time like sweeping the deck, or uh do you just like throw your stuff down and do you light a fire? How do you make yourself comfortable
Oh,
as
I
you
think
get ready for first watch?
yeah, I think Morgan's like it's best if one leaves a place as you left it, partially for someone trying to find you.
Yeah,
It's good not to leave behind so many tracks like that. And I think likewise, we've been traveling all day. Like it's sunset. The energy spent sleeping would be wasted. So I think Morgan takes up shop on the sort of top level patio porch area, like maybe in a nice and like a old-ish like deck chair kind of deal. And I think
yeah,
she probably would usually pull out like an instrument of sorts, whether it's like pan pipes or like I don't know whatever she plays. We'll find out. But I think
yeah.
because like we're trying to keep a low profile, she just sort of hums and like maybe like yeah, just put out a little lantern or something. Maybe there's some fireflies because it's like super humid and it's like kind of I think it like quite lovely and picturesque.
Cool. Nice. And I think like in the distance you can see the uh the Ruby Lighthouse light up, and so every once in a while, kind of this red light kind of
Like
goes over.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's super cool and not terrifying at all.
Yes. No, not at all. And I think the other weird thing about the lighthouse is that when it goes over this area, the fire starts burning like a red, and then like
Oh,
when it
cool.
passes, it turns back to normal. But it like, yeah, it changes consistency, like literally the lantern light.
I like to
Um,
picture too, like as the light passes over Morgan's shadow, kind of like stretches unnaturally, and like it looks kind of a bit freaky and
yeah,
strange.
yeah, cool. Yeah, and there are these just little like piles of stuff on the ground, and the just like detritus. And as you a light goes like the light goes over, and you're pretty sure that the piles have moved and that they're getting closer to you.
Oh, awesome. I think it takes a little bit for Morgan to notice, and then maybe it's like, oh, it's like a little dog statue, or I don't know, like some kind of like bit that has moved a bit closer, but it's to the point where it's noticeable.
Yeah,
And then I think Morgan like stops humming, sits up in her chair a little bit straighter, and kind of like just keeps an eye on
yeah,
the little dog statue.
yeah. And I think like the dog statue is on top of like a pile of something, and like it's the pile that's moving, and you notice that there are these little piles all over the room, and they move until like the lighthouse light goes by, and then they stop, and that light goes over, and then like as the red light leaches from the room, they start to move towards you again, uh, and
I,
and and now you can really see it.
I have a question for my necromancer friend. Have you told me you can speak to ghosts? Like, do I know that you can speak to ghosts and ghosts are things you can converse with and that kind of thing?
Yep, spirits in general, actually. But yeah, that is
Oh,
that is a
cool.
thing I can do. And you know this.
Then I think Morgan, without Necromancer running around, would maybe be like, hello, like, may I help you? Like, as if trying to communicate to like whatever invisible entity is approaching. But I'm
nice.
assuming the pile just moves closer.
Do you have an exertion for this, or are you just attempting it in the fiction?
Oh,
I don't actually know.
Let me have a look at mine.
I have exertions for some things, but not others. I know yours are different.
Let's see. I can exert myself with grace and calm. I can exert myself with discipline to perform like theatrical, like thieves' sleight of hands and stuff. I can exert myself instinctively to stay on top of a developing situation. I can exert myself physically against like the mass and momentum of.
I can do that one too.
And I can exert myself violently.
I can do that one too.
Or I can submit to circumstances. Maybe this. Let me have a look at the exerting myself instinctively if I'm trying to like just into like more, to communicate to a spirit outside of my capacities. So I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up my friend. It might just be nothing, and my friend's tired and needs to sleep.
Yeah. So are you exerting?
Let's see what the. I'm just having a quick read of what the. Oh yeah, I think let's exert myself instinctively. I think the outcomes may speak to what's going on.
Cool.
Yeah. So it says, tell the volunteer that you're taking a quick second, a couple of minutes, or at the time to look around, get a feel for things, secure your footing, and try to figure out what's going on. Then roll, and then on a hit, I can ask some questions. So yeah, I think it's like a quick second to look around kind of situation, like, or maybe if you account for the minutes spent watching this pile, it might count as like some minutes. But I think we're sort of seconds, minutes level of like time.
Yeah.
And how do I?
You just slash roll 1d6.
Oh, cool. Let me just do that. Slash roll 1d6. I got a 5.
And what is your stat for?
My stat for acting instinctively is it's nimble +1, and I have 3 nimble +1 is 4.
So 5 is a miss. What happens on a miss?
Oh. On a miss, it doesn't say anything. It just says on a hit. Oh no, sorry, on a miss. Tell the volunteer that your instincts tell you to freeze or flee, and then ask them which and what happens next.
Yeah, so which do your instincts tell you to do?
I guess it's ghost stuff. So I think I freeze. Like I'm not used to what's like. I'm not.
Yeah.
This is not my domain.
Well, your instincts either tell you to freeze or flee, but you ask the volunteer which.
Oh, so the volunteer picks? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, on a miss, tell the volunteer that your instincts tell you to freeze or flee. Ask them which.
Oh, ask them which, and then what happens.
And what happens next.
Yeah, so volunteer to my instincts.
Yeah.
Flee or freeze.
I think you freeze, and the little piles start to like they come towards you, and then they start to move together, and they come together. They're these little snake bones, and they form together into like the plasmic energies coalesce so that they become like a humanoid shape, and oddly like they're holding the little dog statue, which I think is a cool like they're holding it like it's their puppy, like like you know, and maybe even like one like group of snake skeletons are kind of petting it, are kind of petting it, and
snakes don't have arms, Judd. Do you mean like they're crawling up around it all friendly like? Is that like what are you envisioning when you say that phrase?
I think it was like humanoid,
so
right?
It's not forming a snake. It's like forming a humanoid shape.
Like a yuan-ti kind of thing? Like a half snake, half...
more like a human ghost. Like a human ghost, but all it has to work with are
snake bones.
Snake bones.
Fascinating.
Is the snake kind of like making its spine kind of deal, like that?
I'm guessing that it's like dozens and dozens of snake bones that are being formed into a human shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. I'm with you now.
That's super cool.
And I think like you realize from things that you've heard the necromancer say that like the plasmic energy was kind of dissipated because these piles were all over the place. But as you kind of froze up and as you talked to it and gave it like breath,
Oh, cool.
it formed together and then kind of became a human shape and says, "Why are you in Ruby?" Like it doesn't quite. I don't think it hisses. I think it kind of clatters. Like, "Why are you in Ruby?"
Oh, that's super great. I apologize, Strash. Remind me of your character's name again. I'm gonna write it
Garen.
down.
I am Garen Silverthorn, but
Silver.
Garen is
Cool.
just fine.
I think like
When in doubt, you can also say friend.
I think as the snake like forms up, like I think I am kind of frozen to the spot, but I'm like Garrett, 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 and we just sort of hear like, like
your friend is caught in dreams not his own.
Uh-oh. No. Uh-oh.
Okay. I think then we cut to Garen. Garen, you're in the middle of a dream of an old wizard's test that wizards no longer do because it was deemed like too barbaric.
Oh no! Oh, good, good. Yes,
yeah.
excellent. This is
But in the old days, this is how they used to test wizards when they were apprentices. And so, like, you're wandering some cave, and something is hunting you, and you know that if you turn the tables on it, you'll get to be a wizard, and if you don't, then you're going to die here in this cave.
Like you do.
Like you do. But you also know, as you do in dream logic, that this is not your dream, and you're not sure why you're having it. Well, you know why you're having it, but and you also have a feeling that you need to wake up.
Actually, there is a role for this.
Of course, there is.
Yeah, there is. It's not a role to wake up. There is a specific situation called submitting to circumstance. So it's a little bit like when you have to test luck or there is nothing else that applies. You can just say, "Let fate take the wheel and let's see how it turns out." And so one of the things that you can do is if you succeed, you could say certain things like, "I keep my life. I keep like my wits about me," that kind of thing. So I think that I think that's the only move that I have, right? Like I don't have a wake up spell. I don't have a gain consciousness roll. So I have to try something. So I feel like I'm acting. I'm submitting myself. Well, actually, let me think about this. I might be able to solve this. You know what, Judd? I think that necromancers train in walking strange paths, right? Like if you're meandering in the spirit world or like seeing things that aren't there, you're among other things teaching yourself like how to always find your body and how to like always find your way out of like strange like maybe that's partially how I broke the lock of blue jasper. I learned the trick of solving mazes and problems. So I think that I'm going to exert myself mentally and see if I can find the exit from this dream state. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, cool. Let me make a roll there. Wait, I gotta find my Roll20 window. Yes! Yeah! That's what I want. Okay, so I'm looking for the dream exit. Where should I start?
You need to separate yourself from the kid who's in the dream. Like you need to like get separate from him so that you form kind of your own identity in the dream.
Cool. So I think I realize that I'm in someone else's dream, so I do the thing that I've been trained to do. I know that I am not him, and I am bound to a spiritual entity named Gurn. So I'm going to reach out to Gurn, and I'm going to attempt to invoke him into my dream. Wait, I don't have that power. Nope, I can't do that. I lied. I don't have that spell. That would be a really cool trick. But I do not have that trick. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is good enough. Maybe we do have to resort to giving ourselves over to circumstance anyway. I think that what I do is I speak to myself my true name, and see if that's enough to separate me from the little wizard, the false identity that's been placed upon me. Is that sufficient?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, so I do not need to roll for circumstances. Cool. And then once that happens, is that enough for me to like break the spell of this dream and exit it for now?
Yes. I think the price though is that this dead wizard now has your true name.
He's just an illusion stuck in my head. There can't be anything wrong with this, Judd.
Right.
It's alright, it's my name. He can't use it against me. It'll be fine. I love it, Judd. Yeah, that's good
Cool.
with me.
Cool. Yeah, I think how do you walk out of it? Like what does it look like?
I think it looks I think inside the dream itself, right? Like oh no, this is awesome. I think I take my hand and I punch right into my chest. And I when I pull it out, I'm holding this green etheric cord. And then I look as it like goes into the sky, and I look at the little wizard and I say, "Sorry, I can't solve your puzzle today." And I just go up the cord as if it's like some sort of like elevator cord or some like grappling hook cord that's like whizzing me up, and like I see the room and my body, and as I slam into it, my eyes just open in the real world.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think the wizard, like as you leave, says it's okay, and like he says your true name, but it's like, if this was a movie, it would be bleeped out. It's okay, beep, because
gets caught away in the winds.
yeah. But we know that the wizard now knows your true name. Cool. Yeah, and you jerk awake, and you see that a plasmic entity has put together a bunch of snake bones. And you know that like sometimes like wise nannies and like grandmothers will like get their kids to put snake bones into piles because like it'll distract ghosts, and something that must have happened because this ghost has managed to pull these piles together in an act of will and build like a body out of it. And it's fucking like it's talking to Morgan, and what's even worse is Morgan's talking back to it.
Oh,
yeah. Definitely. If it asks me a question, it's really polite to like answer.
Awesome.
So yeah, if it asks me like, "What are you doing in Ruby?" I'm like, "Oh, we're just passing through." And
well, let me tell you a story.
Yeah. What are you doing in Ruby?
I died here. I cannot leave.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Judd, can I study the entity empathetically so I can ask questions about it?
Yeah.
All right.
I hope so.
This. I should be able to do this. Well, maybe. I think it's a 50-50. All right. Hey, I succeed! That's amazing. I did not see that one happening. So, when you study someone empathetically, you study and understand someone. You can be interacting with them, studying them without interacting, or even just reflecting on your past interactions. On a hit, you can ask any question you want about what you can directly observe, and you can ask questions about what they're thinking or feeling. So I see this entity. I'm debating, Lauren. I could use a little help here.
Yeah, totally.
I am debating whether it is better to ask what does it want or what does it fear.
Oh, good question.
I can also ask how could I get them to do X, like leave us alone or stand guard for us or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean if we could have a god, that'd be super handy.
Yeah, but I want to know what they want, because if what they want is the warm embrace of life that they drain from our body, it's a very bad guard. You don't want that as a guard, you know?
Yeah. It sounds like step one, figure out what they want. And then
Unfortunately, I'd have to roll again for more questions, I think. I can ask as many as I rolled, and I rolled a 1, so that's all I get. What do you think?
oh, that's the tough spot. Yeah, I think what it wants is maybe a good approach since we're kind of in this cursed area. Yeah.
All right, so Judd, let me ask you that. What does this ghostly entity want?
Yeah, it wants to escape the land of the dead and to bring its doggy with them.
Aww.
That's adorable.
You started this dog statue. You started the dog statue. I had to.
I don't actually have the ability to rip the veil between the living and the dead, so I can't actually help it.
Can we make it a promise?
No, I mean, I'm not going to promise things I can't do. So let me ask this question: does it have any like? That doesn't seem particularly terrifying, but does it have any more like? I guess, is there anything that, does it have a want that we may be able to appease in kind of like a plausible fashion?
Could you set things up so that the next person who wanders in here will, it will be able to entrap and possess them to get out of here?
Oh, it wants to possess people. Oh, it wants to possess people. Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm going to assume that it's an evil spirit. Sorry. I know it just wants its doggy and it wants to get out of here, and that is charming AF, but, unfortunately, the way that it wants to do that is to ride one of our bodies. So I think I do the same thing that the thief did to me. So by the way, there are rules for when we go against each other. So if this is an action against you, Lauren, let me know. Because we make rolls, but then you take on the volunteer role and I ask you the questions.
Cool.
Yeah, it's real slick. So I think what happens is the necromancer sees you speaking to the spirit and your breath giving it breath. And like the breath between your two bodies starting that process of like, maybe it has the potential to possess you. And I think a very similar gesture happens where the necromancer puts their hand over your mouth, much like you did when it was dangerous in the other city, and looks at the spirit and slowly starts like pulling you back into the house and past a door. Unless someone says something otherwise, I'm going to do a different thing then. So Judd, does this thing lurch or launch towards us, or can I get through a doorway?
I think you can get through a doorway.
Awesome. In which case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind this room with mystical necromantic locks. That is a thing I could do. F you, ghost. So sorry. Hopefully, if somebody else comes after us, you'll possess them.
Sure, doesn't make us feel real bad about this.
I actually feel bad. Like, I want to help it. It's just, unfortunately, it needs a living body, and currently we're the ones. I'm not gonna put someone on the line where they get possessed and overridden. But yeah, I cannot actually make it go away yet. I don't have any of those spells. Which is so let me. Yeah, I have to exert myself magically, so we're gonna see how this goes. Ha 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 ha, this could end really poorly. You may have to save us here, thief. Yes, it failed! How did it fail? Oh my god.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I needed a 4 or less. I had like a 2/3 shot here. This is the worst day.
So you were setting up locks?
Yes, I summoned necromantic locks. On a miss, I think they are beyond me, is what I'm looking for it right now. Here it is. Okay. A necromantic lock. To set a necromantic lock, tell your volunteers that what you would like to lock up, and roll. On a hit, tell them that you've locked it, and you need not fear anyone else disturbing or unlocking it. Gurn will tell you if anyone's attempting to tamper with it. On a miss, tell your volunteers that you've set the lock, but that it is both powerless and attractive to ghosts and plasmids. I hate it. Okay, so yeah, that's
But
amazing.
our own Ruby beacon like goes off for ghosts.
Yep. So Judd, I create a lock, but it is powerless and attractive to ghosts and plasmids, just so you know.
Yes. Yeah, I think like it looks around and you hear like as plasmids start to make their way towards the house, you hear like swamp wildlife running away, and like birds who normally wouldn't be awake this time of night, fly up confused, and some kind of like swamp cougar screeches and runs, and you hear an alligator like splash, and yeah, you can. And then I think when the red lantern light goes across, you see that like in the mists are the plasmids of the dead, and I think what you notice right away, Garen, is that they broke the curse, but they did a pretty weak ass job of it. Like they didn't put everything to rest; they just broke the curse. So, like they weren't real thorough, and you imagine probably what happened is like some necromancer went to the city masters and was like, hey, we can do this cheap and fast, or we can do this slow and expensive. And they were like, cheap and fast, and he was like, okay. And he's like, you might still have a problem in a couple years, and they were like, that's okay. We can just evacuate the cursed district. It's not a big deal. And yeah, there are a lot of restless dead out there, and they are drawn like flies to a lantern light to your delicious lock.
I look at the thief and carte blanche lie through my teeth, and I have no rolls or exertions for this, and what I say is, I've created a distraction, run.
It's funny you say that, because like I think the thief is like their first instinct is to like, oh, we'll just go out the window, like nimble yourself away, like easy. But like my dear necromancer friend, I don't think he's that nimble, like compared to myself potentially.
Get away! I can take care of myself.
Oh, well, what I was thinking of doing is trying to, if it's like an old house, just like finding a loose board on the second story, and then like just kicking a foot through it, and then we both just like jump down to like the floor below and then book it. If like I'm assuming the necromantic locks are like on this level, so it's kind of like it's not the whole house kind of thing.
That sounds fine. I don't know what exertion that is for you. You need to figure out how that one works.
Yeah, let's see.
I do have an exertion to attempt to hide myself and sneak with you, but I also have I can act against physical things like floors if I need to. Or we could submit ourselves to fate and try to keep our feet in bearings.
Okay, let me. I'm just trying to figure out which exertion. Okay, so this is potentially. This sounds like exert yourself physically against the mass and momentum of an uncooperative thing. I'm assuming the floor is not cooperative to me kicking it.
That makes sense.
Are you so let me ask you a question. Are you just trying to break the floor, or are you trying to like if they had like a what do they call those, like where they raise plates?
The dumbwaiter? Like
a dumbwaiter, yeah. So like maybe we could use the dumbwaiter to go down into the sub-basement and like sneak out through.
Oh, the basement sounds like a great idea.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with the basement, but I mean it would get us like closer to the river, or like maybe into the sewers or something. Like it would give us an exit that wasn't this obvious beacon of deliciousness above us.
Yeah, no, I think like thief instincts say yes, go to the shadows, go to the basement, like find your way out while the distraction's going on.
Great.
Yeah.
Would you like to roll to exert yourself physically against this and provide us is exerting yourself physically against this? Yeah. It'll provide us an exit.
Yeah. Well, the outcomes for this physical roll, or I'm strong enough, not strong enough, quick enough, not quick enough. My footing is good enough, not good enough. I have the endurance, I don't. So this that sounds like good outcomes.
Are you good at this?
Heck yeah.
Okay, take it away. I trust you.
I think so. I think it's a nimble stat, and my nimble's pretty good. I think. Exert yourself physically with inventive tally plus your nimble tally. Yes, that would be just my nimble tally, but my nimble tally is 4.
Okay, so you need to get a 4 or less.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. It's against the maximum momentum. Oh yeah. So I'll roll my 1d6, and I need a 4 or less. Oh, I got a 6.
So, Judd. Oh, wait. Actually, let me ask you this, Lauren. What happens on a miss?
Let's have a look. On a miss, there we go. Physically, on a miss, choose one that you are from the list and one that you definitely aren't. Tell your volunteer that you're adept enough, but you're just plain not patient enough or whatever, and ask them how it goes for you. Okay, so I think I'm for sure quick enough. I think I have the capacity to grab my necromancer friend around the waist and like hurry us to the dumbwaiter. I think though, because it's quite an old like house, maybe the mechanism is a bit locked and it's like a bit stiff and rusty. So any other day I'd be totally fine, but I don't think I'm strong. I think I'm strong enough to like quickly descend with like the pulley, because I think maybe the jams are locked or something, or it's I don't know. You figure that out. You're the volunteer.
Okay.
I think I am definitely quick enough to get there. I'm not strong enough to handle the rusty dumbwaiter.
Okay. So when the snake hand reaches out for you, do you? I think you have the most control. So do you put yourself between it and the necromancer, or do you just let it grab the necromancer, assuming that Garen can take care of himself?
Oh, my full instinct is I gotta protect my necromancer friend first. So I think like I will like sort of put them in front of me and like sort of like really push them like at the dumbwaiter, and we'll follow after.
Okay. So Garen, this plasmic entity that has animated itself in a bunch of snake bones has grabbed your friend, and you think like that she said it that way, that she put herself in a position so that you would be safer than her.
Yeah, because like I did this to you before, and I'm not gonna like put you at danger from spirits earlier, and I couldn't live with myself again if I put my best interest.
So you're saying, so Judd, you said that I hit the bottom. I'm theoretically free and clear.
Is that how it worked out, Lauren, or are you both kind of like stuck halfway in? Like, give me a
better idea. I'm also okay if I'm free and clear. I have an idea for both.
Yeah, it just says like pick one that you are and one that you aren't, and then the volunteer tells you how it goes and tells you how it goes for you. Yeah.
So Judd, you tell us: are we stuck or am I free and clear?
I think you're stuck.
Awesome. I think the necromancer does a thing that you don't see them do very often, which is I think I do a thing where I tap my body and like color leaches from my skin and it turns like the color of a corpse, right? Like kind of like a grayish, ugly color. And I'm going to exert myself physically, pushing harder than my body might be able to take. And I'm just gonna do the Morpheus thing, right? Like when he's stuck inside the walls and he just breaks downwards, right? Like against the agents. Yeah. So like I think I give out a yell, and I'm gonna give this a go. Perfect. It's exactly 3. I am strong enough. I have the endurance for it, and I have the control. I think cool. I break like I'm exerting myself physically against this. I smash the snake bones as my thief friend goes down, I come down and sort of like try to like pull the pipes and the stuff above us on us and try to get us out into the kitchen free and clear, even though there's probably a cloud of dust and we're kind of rolling out with our stuff.
Yeah, you totally land in a pile in the kitchen. You can hear the entity up above hissing at you, hungry for your warm blood. And you can also feel that there are other entities closing in on the house.
Which way, thief? I'm looking at you. Are you sneaking us out now? Are we now doing the stealth thing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, can we sneak from ghosts?
Is there anything between? Is there a path we can take, Judd, to sneak out of here? Or should I exert? I can exert myself to see one.
Cool.
All right.
I can. I see.
So you could act instinctively as well, Lauren, or like I'm looking for a way out. Where do I start? Is totally a question you can ask.
I also realized I have these the sleights I have are pass someone by unnoticed, command an audience from a crowd, climb, leap, tumble, and defy to fall, and the furtive knot, the fourth stone, the filch. Those are the things I can do.
Are any of those applicable?
It really depends. Yeah, my gut says sneaking past entities is a bit trickier than sneaking past people. What do you think, necromancer is? How are ghostly senses?
I disagree. I think that the if you're not using I don't know. What is your Does it actually say how you pass by people?
Let's see. Changing your gait, posture, concealing your face, distinctive features, changing silhouette. So it's very waiting unobtrusively and sneaking by. So it's like changing things about yourself to sneak.
Yeah, that I mean, if it was just by being quick and quiet, that's probably fine. But if they're hunting for anything living, a lot of your disguise tricks are probably not going to work.
Oh yeah, looking at this list, yeah. So the way this move works is I ask the volunteer questions, and for every yes, I subtract one rating. And the questions are, they're watching for me in specific. Yep. They're watching with a disciplined vigilance, and all their senses are attuned. Yep. And they're turning people away, not just watching people pass. Must I hurry? Yep. So I would take so many penalties from trying to sneak past.
So do we just? So let me ask this, Judd. Is there an easy way out? Do we see a path away from this situation?
I don't think so.
If it's not obvious, I can try to find one.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, there's not an obvious way.
I am going to exert myself mentally. Let me do that real quick. Oh, here we go. I need a 4 or less. I get it. The question that I ask is, I'm looking for a way out. Where do I start? And remember that I also have some enhanced senses. It might just be that necromantic sight also removes shadows. It allows me to see sort of because the plasmic world maybe provides an ambient glow. I might be able to see stuff better. I might be able to see cracks in a wall where an old path out was walled up or something like that. Anything that really works.
Yeah. So one easy way out that would be from one type of danger to another, but maybe the other type of danger you could manage is through the Dreamlands. And
I do not have opened the way into the Dreamlands unless you tell me that there is one here.
No, I think that in lands that were recently cursed, where the dead walk, it can be easy to walk into dreams. People do it accidentally all the time. So
I see.
Yeah.
So I see a crack between realities.
Yeah.
And I think that we could slip sideways into this other path. Yeah, this is not going to end poorly. I get 4 questions, but I only have a couple more. One, I'm looking for some pure salt and yarrow root and other things that commonly are found in kitchens that can also act against ghosts. Where could I find them?
Totally find them. Yeah. They're in the kitchen. Absolutely.
Awesome. So yeah, I think I grab a big jar. I pop the little metal lid open. I throw a handful on the path behind us. Close it up. Grab a couple more supplies. Just to seal the path for the spirits to follow. And then I look at my thief friend and I say, okay, it might look like we're stuck in a basement kitchen with horrible monsters behind every door. But my question but like, remember how? Actually, what I say is, I think I see a way out, but it's going to be very risky.
I think the thief says, "Well, I don't see a way out, and that's equally risky. So let's do it."
All right. So then that's fine. I think that's what we're doing. I think Judd. I'm going to. I don't know. I just imagine that this is like a cool thing, right? Like I think I bind together some of the roots and I squeeze them and I mix them. I smash them and add some water and I take this like black liquid and I say drink this. It'll help you slip sideways more easily or something like that. And yeah.
I think also while you're doing this, I show my hand as to how like naive I am to ghosts and stuff, and I grab a kitchen knife.
You'd be surprised. Maybe cold forged iron works against ghosts. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I tuck like a kitchen knife like around my like sort of belt. Like I feel like I must have many belts around my waist and stuff for things and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's all right. I'm pretty sure I have a ritual knife. So yeah, cool. Judd, what does it take to find your way through the Dreamlands?
Yeah, you need like a strong dream to attach to, and you've just gotten out of one. So yeah, I think the curse kind of wore away the veil, and then the plasmic entities all gathering wore away the veil some more, and then you walked through, and I imagine you like walking into that cave where you were dreaming, and the dead wizard is there. Sitting on the ground, looking forlorn, waiting for you.
What was the dead wizard's name? Let's give him a name, because clearly we're going to be talking to this person at least a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see if chat has a good one.
Sounds good.
What do you got, chat? Dead wizard name?
Dead wizard name, yeah. All right.
But yeah, I think is it a he? I think it was a he from earlier.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Do we? Okay, so let me get this clear, Judge, just so that I understand.
His name is Kai Locus.
Kai Locus. What's his title? He's a wizard. They always have titles. Is he like Kai Locus the Black, Kai Locus of the Sundered Staff, Kai Locus the Red Wizard of whatever? Like, I don't
know. Kai Locus of the Ivory Caves.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So I guess what I'm gonna say is, I know the way out of this dream. That's why I brought us here. There is a monster that hunts these caves, and if we can trick it, it'll become our prey, and it'll, like, if we solve that riddle, we'll basically wake up, right? Like, that's the end of the dream. But this is the point where I admit that I don't actually know the trick to tricking the monster offhand. I was planning to ask my ghostly tutor, do you have an idea, dear thief?
Let's I'll just quickly look at my exhaustions.
Yeah, and I think the cave is, you're deep underground, so and you're kind of inundated with the memory of Kai Locus, and so he remembers how cold the cave was, and how kind of there's like the sound of trickling water somewhere in the distance, and the sound of something coming through the caves after you.
If you hear loud booming, forgive me. There's a terrifying storm outside my windows.
Oh, jealous.
Nice.
I can. I feel like in these dreamlands, I can at least rely on my instincts, and then I have some abilities to like communicate or like diffuse situations. So like I'm okay at like talking to folks and intuiting situations. And like maybe I might be able to sneak if no one. I can maybe like sort of help sneak us through by taking on a different form in these dreams. If
Yeah. Yeah, I can dig it.
if that sounds cool. Yeah, I like the idea of like, cause to me when I dream anyway, like people's faces are usually quite obscured, or like I know that they're them, but they're not quite, and they don't quite look like them. So I like the idea of like taking pieces of dreams and then kind of like putting them on like a mask and stuff, and kind of making a patchwork quilt. So we're kind of identityless, traveling through this space. That sounds
neat.
cool to you?
So what you're saying is you're trying to turn us into a not wizard so that the monster doesn't recognize us as prey?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sounds good.
And that's the common grace. How good am I at that? I don't know.
Well, we roll, and if we miss,
roll.
then things get exciting.
Excellent.
That's how this game works.
I think I need a two.
You need two? Oh boy.
I'll just double check. Common grace. Yeah, I think I'm.
Oh, this is gonna end well. All right. Good luck.
I got a six.
That's not a two. All right. What happens if you fail?
So
What happens?
Okay, I'll let me find the roll. I'll print these out for next time to their own hand. If I attempt to, where did it go? Passing someone. Oh, sorry, we did the move wrong. I had to like roll back a little bit. I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you had a two, you rolled a six, there's no saving this.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, I meant to do passing someone by, which is like we can keep the six because like that'll be fun. But the extra step for passing someone by is I ask the volunteer the following questions and keep count of how many they say yes. So are they watching for me in specific?
No.
Are they watching with disciplined vigilance and all their senses attuned?
Yes.
Okay. Are they turning people away, not just watching people pass?
I don't think that's relevant here because there aren't any other people.
So that's probably a no.
And then must I hurry?
Yeah, you should hurry.
Okay, so that's two. But so I temporarily subtract one from my rating for each yes they gave me, which isn't better because I super failed anyway. And on a miss, tell your volunteer that you realize at once that you won't be able to get past them. Tell them what you do instead. And then, this is to choose. Or tell your volunteer that they have to risk it and they notice you. Ask them what they do. Ooh.
If you do that one, I might have a trick.
Let's do that one. I think that one's calling to me. Yeah. So I think we have to risk it, and they do notice us because our dream disguises are not that convincing. Maybe I grab a piece of a wizard. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, you're not a wizard, and you're not used to working with dreams. It could just be that the dream disguise doesn't hold. Like,
oh, it's like sort of drifts away, like
shifts.
Yeah.
Or maybe you think about the wizard you saw in the cave, and pieces of the wizard appear, and that flags you.
Oh, that's super. I like that too. Like when you like don't think of an elephant kind of thing.
Yeah. Don't think of an elephant. Exactly.
Totally. Yeah. So that's still what happens. So they notice us, and I get to ask the volunteer what they do.
So cool, what does the dream beast do, Judd?
I think it thunders into the cave and tears the dream boy apprentice wizard apart with its claws, and you know that he's still alive and that this is all just like a dream, but it's still terrible, and you know you don't want that fate as it reaches its claws towards you to rend you to pieces.
So Judd, I think that this is the point in which I attempt to use my ghostly tutor to cloak me from its senses, so we find out that the thief is the only one in trouble, and that's where I attempt to curse stab it from behind with my my athame, my little sacrificial blade, my necromantic knife, and try to turn it into my prey. So let's see if my magical exertion works first. Yes, it does for once. Thank goodness I'm not the worst necromancer, just a semi-bad one. Hang on a second. I cannot find my spell. My spell! Where's my spell? Wait, I have a PDF. Why am I looking through these papers? I can just do the thing. 1 second. Here we go. Boop, boop, boop. Aha. I exert myself, and I actually exert myself subtly. So if I exert myself subtly, I pass through my environment unnoticed and take action unremarked. Tell your volunteers what you need to do and ask them if anyone's going to notice you or care. If nobody is, well, clearly the monster's going to notice me normally. But on a hit, you get a number of chances equal to your roll. A chance is something like this. You wouldn't believe how quick I am with my hands. Am I going to be quick enough to curse stab this thing? Does that sound plausible?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's it. Am I going to be quick enough to save my friend?
I think it does get like a claw in, but like I think you kill it before it can really hurt Morgan. Morgan, what does it like when does it get a hold of you? Does it scratch you? What happens?
Oh, neat. I found a super cool picture of a thief with like this huge sort of like dragon back tattoo.
I'm sorry, somebody wrote it's time for some knife necromancy.
That's really
approved. The best day.
Oh yeah, I totally have that kitchen knife like clutched in my head. Like I will stab someone, but I don't know.
It's Luke. Good job, Luke. Yeah.
I found a super cool picture of a thief with like this massive like sort of dragon back tattoo, and I like to think that's potentially like sort of the sign of the house that I came from.
Nice.
And so I think like in the dreamland, it does a light on fire, and it does sort of like burn kind of bright. I think it does sort of like sear and sort of like dream pain way where it's the closer it gets, the more it sort of flares up, and I can kind of feel those memories coming back from me of like my family and stuff and that kind of thing. It's not nice.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do physical damage. It does memories and dream damage effectively.
Dream damage, yeah.
I love it. That's really awesome. And I think like you realize that this monster is not really what the monster looked like, and it's like a manifestation of the wizard's guilt at having survived when so many other apprentices died, and maybe even guilt at things he did to survive, and yeah, that's awesome. I like that it does it does psychic damage to you. That's really cool. And then this what does it look like when you stab it?
I think the necromancer looks very different in sort of like the dream world. Like normally I look very unassuming, but like here I look like what people fear necromancers to look like, right? Like my hands are just a little bit more bony and knobby, and my blade is, of course, instead of made of something sensible, it's made of bone, and like I've got green flames coming out the corner of my eyes, and I when I reach forward, I've got dread runes and foul sigils carved on my palms, and I think I just grab it and I put the knife to it, and I think I whisper to it, and I just say like, "You are not our nightmare," and then I just like pull, and Does the dream dissolve, Judd? Do we exit the
Yeah.
dreamscape? What does that
Yeah,
look like?
yeah,
Do
yeah.
we like wake up in town somewhere, or like how does this work? How do we exit the dream?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think that's a great question.
We can take a
Uh,
break if we want to like have a think
yeah,
about what that looks like.
yeah. I
I
think it's time for a break. So
I
let's
kind of want to actually like
come
wrap
out of
this
it.
up because I feel like the break is a good time for us to read about spawning circumstances and try a different thing.
Cool.
Like
Sounds
it gives us a
good.
different adventure to go on.
Yeah, I think you like your way through this dream was literally like cutting past the ghosts that were encircling you. And so yeah, you get back uh into the city, um, in an alleyway next to like the inns that you would have stayed in if you had made a more mundane choice when you first got to town. And so like there's some guy leaning up against the alleyway, trying not to hurl, and you all kind of walk out of the dreamlands, um, with your knife. You've got your knife out, and Morgan's back tattoo is on fire, and he kind of like looks at you all and then hurls, and you realize that you're like in the alley on the wharf, where like you probably would have found a room if you hadn't said like, no, let's sleep in the curse district. That'd be cool.
Like you do, like you do.
Like you do.
All right, so
No judgment, no judgment.
this feels like a great place to call a break. So I
Yeah.
feel like we will stop here for the moment and maybe be back in just a few. Grab some tea, use the bathroom, and whatnot. So
Yeah.
hang around, folks. We will see you again soon. I'm hoping that everyone's having a good time. Feel free to leave comments in
Yeah.
chat, and we'll.
I was gonna say like I'm loving all of the group like the chat stuff that they've been giving us. It's so good. So yeah, please keep doing so. I'm digging it.
All right. See you soon, folks.